Welcome back to Retro Collect 101, your guide to getting started with retro gaming. In part 1 I talked a bit about why would you get into retro collecting, and in part 2 I talked about how to get started and maybe how to set your goals and that type of thing, and choosing the system. So yeah, links above, probably, maybe, we'll see. And in this part I'm going to talk a bit about buying the stuff. Yes! So how do you get the stuff that I'm sitting around? And naturally, you can't talk about buying retro gaming without talking about eBay. So I'll get to that in a bit, but basically I'll talk about the non-eBay stuff first because, well, there's less to say about it. Now, by and large, the single overriding factor about buying retro content is be sure you know what you're getting, and don't exclude any potential form of source. That includes eBay, but it could be to check out markets, check out charity shops, retro game shops, and car boot sales if there's any around you, that type of thing. Anywhere where there's odd things being sold or bric-a-brac, there's a chance it could be worth a minute to pop in and check. And you might find, people sometimes said to me, oh, you've got some decent stuff for reasonable prices. Where on earth are you getting it? Well, there's not much where I live locally to find. It's incredibly barren. So it's all about perseverance. Chances are, for every 30 trips to a shop, or shops, whatever type they are, or markets or car boot sales that I go to, I might find one item. So there's that element of work, I suppose you could say, involved. You gotta keep at it, you gotta try. You can find things probably a little more regularly than that, but they often tend to be FIFA sports games on the PlayStation, or broken tats, and you really don't necessarily really want to be collecting that. And I kind of talked about that yesterday in setting your goal, and I didn't say it, but it kind of ties into today. You don't need to buy everything you see. Case in point, I was in a charity shop today and they had some games. They had a few PlayStation 2 games, nothing remarkable, they were sports games, so wasn't interested. They had Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. Now you're talking. That's a good game. And the GameCube version is one of the hardest to find, if not the hardest. Picked it up, and disc 2 is missing. So you could hem and haw and say, well, I wonder how much they're looking for a couple of quid. Is it worth it? Well, it's half a game. You'd even have trouble reselling it, so no. Put it down. And then they also had Tony Hawk's Ride on the Xbox 360. Now, I didn't even ask how much that was, because it was a gaming item. Initially I went, oh, it's gaming. And then I said to myself, look, Alan, do you want to play that Ride game? No. So why are you buying it? And I couldn't answer it, so I said, put it down. And again, one of those things, see, a lot of these things I think are ultimately very simple, but you can very easily just forget them or override them, or just think, well, geez, I don't see anything, so I should pick it up. If you don't want it, if it's not something for your set, if it's not part of your goals, leave it aside. I mean, maybe you might want to pick it up as a trade, and that's fine, I can understand that. I would seriously hope that you wouldn't be, do too much reselling, where you find something and try and hawk it off on eBay for inflated prices, like what I'll talk about later, a thing called bin men. That's not so fine, and frankly that's ruining retro collecting, but however. I just realised I'm looking at the wrong notes. As I said yesterday, I've got notes, and I'm looking at yesterday's notes, and I need today's. They're up here. Seamless. No one will know. Or they will if you don't do editing. Anyway. Yeah, so be persistent and make sure you know what you're buying and check things out. So if don't be afraid to examine an item, even if it isn't, say, a retro shop or a pokey little place and you feel they're looking at you. Check it out. Be careful with things like disc-based media. They're more prone to damage or to not working. But cartridges, they're a lot more durable. Generally, you shouldn't have a problem with those. You may also want to set a budget, especially tying into the don't buy everything. If you find yourself spending more than you wish to or thought you would, simply set yourself an amount, be it weekly or monthly or whatever, and that's that. Especially at the beginning, if you're unsure how much you want to commit or how much you want to invest, just set yourself a limit and okay, I've spent it, no more. And then maybe don't go to the shops or don't search on eBay. And if you really find yourself struggling with the budgeting, definitely steer clear of eBay if you're over your limit. Now, if you don't have a problem with that, I would say buy when things are available versus per budget dictates. I don't say I have €25 a week and kind of spend it regardless. If there's nothing you really want, don't spend it. Whereas if another week you see something for 50 quid, it's a rare game, hasn't come up but you want it for your set, fair enough, you can put the money into it, and maybe the next week or whatever, just don't, kind of pull back a little. So anyway, there's kind of a bit of a opening thing, and the rest is, I think, standard markets. They're probably not going to be the best source. People are usually reselling there, so you're not going to find much. Same with game shops. Retro game shops in the UK, at least, tend to have a better attitude, I find, than over here. There's not much in the way of them over here, and there's no dedicated one. The retro gaming is more of a small component of bigger shops, and they don't really, I'd say, get it. Even they kind of, it seems to be all image based. Oh well, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna, oh yeah, Street Fighter. No, you don't get it. You just, if you were to talk to them, they don't understand collecting and what condition means, and they might have they understand price for sure. I remember seeing a few rare games, and one of them, and they have a sticker, "This is rare." It's like, well, if you have like 70 quid on it, I'd imagine it must be something prompting the price, and the person who's going to pay it is going to fucking know it's rare. You don't have to put a sticker, "This is rare," unless it's by rare. But then their logo will be on the game. It also doesn't need to be said. Now, speaking of rare, you see a hell of a lot of that on eBay. I can't avoid it anymore, can I? Gotta talk about eBay. So, there are alternatives to eBay, but the vast majority of retro content is going to be available on eBay. At least for me, that's the way I found. Actually, no, I can avoid it. Yes, I can avoid eBay for a little longer. I've thought of two more things. One, classifieds and trading forums. Well, that's kind of two, really. Classifieds, I don't know that they have them in different countries, but basically papers where you can say, "I got this for sale," or a person might say, "Oh, well, I'm looking for this. Can you sell it?" Type of thing. There's usually online versions. I think they're in other countries too, but I'm not sure. But they certainly have them here. And then trades with people, maybe on forums or on YouTube or wherever, or local, or perhaps even through a classified. It can be a great way to, you've picked up some stuff that you decided, well, I didn't like those games, and I'd like to get some other ones that I want to hang on to, but these ones aren't so much stuff that are from my set. Well, maybe you can arrange some trades. That's a great way of mitigating things like eBay and PayPal and whatnot, and helps kind of balance out shipping too, perhaps. So anyway, really onto eBay this time. The elephant in the room, as I would call it. Yeah. eBay, to be fair, isn't as bad as a lot of people make out, or at least I don't think it is. What gives it its bad name is bad sellers. And I think you can get bad sellers everywhere. Retro game stores, markets, classifieds, they're everywhere. It just happens that because there's so much stuff on eBay, you get a lot of those crap sellers. A lot of them are people who just don't care about what they're selling, just want to make a quick buck and so on. The amount of horror stories that people have is pretty much endless, with people not sending it right, not packaging it right, trying to overcharge, or basically refusing to sell you the game because they want to get more, or refusing to send it. It's no end of trouble at times. On the other side, you can get some great deals, you can get nice bundles, you can get stuff you couldn't ordinarily find. Depends on where you live, you may have more luck locally. I certainly don't. It's absolutely required. And one of the things that I suppose, one of the groups of sellers that is often referred to are the bin men. And what they are is the buy it now sellers. So they run shops on eBay using buy it now prices. You will often see them bidding up auctions. And there's two reasons for this. One, they want to basically buy every rare game for a system, so that the supply of rare games is reduced. This means that the stock in their shop is much more valuable because there's simply nothing else out there. So if you search for pricings, you will say, oh well, there's so many bin prices and they're looking for this much, that must be how much it's worth. That is not how much it's worth. It's only worth how much someone will pay for it. So forget about searching based on list price, search based on completed price. If it's green, it's sold. If it's red, it didn't. And you gotta ask, why didn't it sell? And you look through the bin prices, the vast majority do not sell for months on end. Eventually, you get people who cave in. And every so often, you will get auctions that, to be fair, go beyond bin prices. But that's, a whole other kettle of fish. Yeah, bin men. The other point about them is by bidding up the auctions, even if they don't win it, they make the price of the auction closer than it should be to their bin prices. And it creates this mindset that, oh, well, the price that they're asking is what the going rate is. Well, it shouldn't be that at all. So it's a vicious cycle. Now, some people prefer to use buy it now to purchase their games. Others prefer to go all out auctioning. I personally wouldn't restrict myself to either one. I've had good buy it now deals and I've had good auction deals. I also will say that if you're starting out on eBay, auctions can be quite exciting. Will I win it? And whatnot. So there's more excitement in an auction than there is in bin men, though over time that will diminish naturally. Yeah. Great. I can't even read one of my shorthand notes. Oh, I know. I have Gigi here. I was thinking, what the hell is Gigi? Gigi is actually Game Gavel. There are other basically auction sites and buy it now sites. Game Gavel's one. There's many more. The problem with them is, while they try and be better than eBay in terms of pricing, they have a lot less stock. So give them a try once in a while. But yeah, you're probably going to end up relying on eBay a lot. And I said this about kind of just in general how you buy, but on eBay it's even more important. Physical pictures can be doctored, can be faked, whatever. You can't rely on a picture. Ask questions. Is the item damaged in any way? Is it complete? And whatever, like say a disc, does it still play? Are there scratches? And is a label peeling? Is there any pen marks in a manual? This sort of thing. Just ask. If they're not willing to answer a couple of simple questions, then you have to wonder as well, are they a seller you want to deal with? So if you kind of, if you basically ask questions and make sure to pay with PayPal if you can at all possible too, or some other secured refundable form of payment, you should be fine with eBay. You might get some jip once in a while with people that are, they either they don't send out games or they sell fake games, big no, things like that. Just make sure you have yourself covered. And if you're unsure if a game's fake or not, do a little research. Again, just goes into the last part. Ask questions to people on forums. Get some knowledge about what you're looking at. Like with things like Sega games, you do see people trying to fake covers. They'll print out a cover. The paper though is usually very different. It has a totally different feel and context, and the colours will look different. So it usually tell you. They could be a lot sneakier and even try and make a cartridge. If you feel that that's the case, and for rare games, I would definitely advise it. Expensive games, get yourself some security tools so you can open up the cart, check it out, and if it has a new ROM chip in it, and that would be fairly apparent, it'll have a little window, you can tell that it's a fake. Chances are on most Sega chips you'll see Sega written on it. So yeah, just make sure to cover yourself too. Now, that's basically it. It's more a case of ask questions and be careful. Take your time with searching as well. There's no rush. Even with rare games, they come up time and time again. There are some unique items, but there's no need to rush out and pay over the odds. I often mention in my package and pickups videos how, well, this game is a little uncommon, and the only reason why it took me a while to buy it is because I didn't want to pay too much. I didn't want to pay crazy money. So that's about it, I think, for buying, other than have fun and get some good stuff. Yeah, just in summary, don't exclude pretty much any resource, be it alternative, auction sites or forums or local shops, charity shops, retro game shops, markets, car booths and things like that. In the UK, car booths are massive. They're getting plagued with resellers, but they're still as good a source as any. And then when you do try those things, just make sure that you're protected in terms of payment and so on, and you get the right thing. So I think that about sums it up. Join me tomorrow and we'll talk a little bit about how you actually look after all these games and take care of your collection. Yes. See you then.